I guess the only question I have is some of the students have asked if I would have like an open lab hour because they were not able to get a good stain yesterday during their hour and a half.
Okay. I think that's fine if you can do that, if you have the time to do it
Uh,
or not. What's up? What do you think?
yeah, I think I probably think I mentioned this before. I'll probably just make that my office hour
Yeah,
if people wanted to do that.
yeah, I
So
think that sounds fine.
okay.
And I know in the past, last semester, there were a couple of open labs, at least in Pocatello. I think Alameda, you did one in Idaho Falls as well, didn't you? Where they could come in and practice some staining beforehand. So I think it's good. I also, I don't know what you think, Tyler, but before, I feel like the TAs in Pocatello kind of opened it up so that they just posted an announcement on the class site, so it went to every student. So maybe you hold an hour, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that, and that works with a couple of other sections. A few of them show up to your lab or something, and vice versa. Maybe Alameda's got one, or Kate and Ben have a different section that they're in there at an office hour that some of your students could go to. I think that might work. Or if you want to just have to deal with your own students, we can make it that way too. It doesn't matter to me, one way or the other. But sometimes, students might want help, and they could only come at, yeah, whatever. What do you guys think about that?
I think that would work out well. We could do like what we did last, because I remember last semester we did like a before the midterm. Everybody came in and kind of did that. I have a couple students who missed the gram staining this last time, so I'm having them come in a little bit early or stay a little bit past to kind of help them. But I think if we have like a large number of students, I wouldn't mind like showing up during an office hour and letting any students in, whether they're in my class or not, so they could practice gram staining. So that's just my opinion on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's great too.
Okay. Yeah, and I know Wednesday, I don't know what your schedules are, but I think Wednesday that lab is completely open. Nobody's in there at all. So that could be a good time to, get in there. We could also think other stuff, but that is one option. So definitely something we can think about. So as far as any other stuff, we're good.
I don't think so.
Okay, so as far as next week goes, Trish is going to inoculate the bacteria, and she said she'd aliquot all of that stuff out. We've got, I'm trying to look at my list here, a handful of different organisms: Staph aureus, epidermidis, and E. coli. And then we've got Pseudomonas as well, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So 4 different bacteria. We're going to do the selective and differential media exercises next time. So we're doing 4.1 and 4.3. Exercise 4.1 is the mannitol salt auger. So the MSA plate is it's selective and differential. This little extra tidbit for Tyler. With that, specifically, it's more for like skin bacteria, really. It is not the best one to say, oh, well, we can isolate any gram positive on this plate, because you can't. So the MSA plate has mannitol that will, it's a sugar alcohol that some bacteria can ferment. There's a phenol red pH indicator in the plate, and if the bacterium uses the mannitol, it will turn the plate yellow. It's pretty obvious, pretty apparent that happens. Staph aureus is the one that should be positive for that, and it'll turn that plate bright yellow. It's got 7.5% sodium chloride in the medium, and that makes it super inhibitory to a lot of bacteria. A lot of gram-positives can't tolerate that much salt. But the staphylococci, those suckers love it. They thrive in that, and so that's really how we can select for them specifically. So the idea with that, there's 3 bacteria that we'll put onto those plates. So you can, almost always we kind of want the students to streak for isolation, but with this exercise, we don't. We can take the plate and cut them into thirds and just kind of fishtail, just kind of a little zigzag the bacteria into one of the thirds of the plate. So they'll do aureus, epidermidis, and E. coli onto these plates. Both Staph aureus and epidermidis should grow, and the E. coli should be inhibited. Only aureus will ferment the mannitol, epidermidis will not. So they should be able to differentiate those guys as well. With that said, the aureus can really kind of overwhelm. And when you're trying to show both epidermidis and aureus on the same plate, if it's incubated way too long, that whole plate's going to turn yellow and it will be really hard to differentiate. So I recommend about 48 hours incubation time is the maximum for that stuff. Anything longer than that's probably going to turn it all yellow. So whatever. And if it turns yellow, completely yellow, it's not the end of the world in the first place. You can just say, the Staph aureus is super great at doing it, because it really is, and that's fine. The next one are is exercise 4.3. These are the EMB plates, eosine methylene blue. It's another selective and differential. These guys are for the gram negatives, and it's more kind of, you're going to get a lot of gram negatives on this. It's not like the MSA, right? So there's lactose in there that allows us the ability to differentiate different types of gram negative bacteria. Really kind of thinking coliforms from non-coliforms. The coliforms are lactose fermenters, like our friend E. coli. Non-coliforms don't ferment it. Things like Pseudomonas, Salmonella, Shigella, those are non-lactose fermenting bacteria. There's the dyes that are incorporated into the EMB plate, the eosine and the methylene blue. These dyes will get into the cell wall of gram-positive bacteria if they happen to be on the plate, and it inhibits their replication. So it basically makes it so they can't grow on those plates. There's another plate called McConkey agar. We're not doing that exercise, but it's the same sort of an idea for selecting the gram negatives. It's got some crystal violet in there that does the same idea. It gets into the gram positives and inhibits. With the McConkey agar, if the lactose is fermented, the colonies turn pink. On an EMB plate, if lactose is fermented, the bacteria has kind of a characteristic metallic green sheen. I always tell my students, it reminds me of like in a parking lot after it has rained and you see like where oil has been on there and it's kind of shiny. That's how the E. coli really kind of looks. It's kind of cool. So with that, they're going to inoculate E. coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and Staphylococcus epidermidis. E. coli should ferment the lactose and have that sheen. Pseudomonas is a gram negative. It'll grow, but it won't ferment. And then epidermidis shouldn't grow at all, right? So that's the idea with that. We also have a nutrient agar plate. Technically, there's going to be 2 nutrient agar plates that they're going to get. One of the nutrient agar plate is going to serve as a positive control. The nutrient agar is just an enrichment plate. So they're going to cut it into 4 quadrants, and they're going to put each of those bacteria that they're putting on your selective plates into one of those quadrants. Then they get all 4 just to verify that those suckers are viable. They do grow. Because otherwise, you wouldn't know. Maybe E. coli wasn't even alive, and that's why it didn't grow on the MSA, or the same with epidermidis on the EMB. So the nutrient agar plate will have all 4 of those organisms on there. They should have growth on each of them. All of these plates will be incubated at 37 degrees, right? They're all body temperature bugs. The next nutrient agar plate, they're going to use that for their unknown bacterium that they inoculated onto slants. Was that last time? It was not this week, but but last week. So whichever slant they found to have the best growth on, and if they didn't, just pick a slant, take some of their bacteria with a loop, transfer it onto a nutrient agar plate and streak for isolation. That's going to give us more volume for bacteria to be used for some of the biochemical tests that we're going to do here moving through. So in the past, we have slapped some of the unknowns right onto these selective and differential plates. And I feel like that's too soon because a lot of that, someone with an unknown with Staph aureus puts it on an MSA and it's immediately yellow. It's a done deal. They know. I don't want that. I don't want to give it away too quickly. So we're not doing any unknowns on these selective plates, but we will have one nutrient agar plate, streak for isolation. That gives them a little bit of practice before the practical coming up with some more streaking. And then next week, the following week is going to be a pretty easy one. They are basically just going to spend the time looking at the results for these plates. And then they also will have an opportunity to do another round of gram staining. So there is an opportunity for more gram staining 2 weeks down the road. If that is, any factor in opening up lab time for those students, they do have another chance before the practical. Questions? Seem good? I feel like it should be a pretty straightforward lab. Couple, 3 different types of plates. The nutrient agar they've already worked with. The manual has does a pretty good job going over some of the details about those plates. I hit most all of the high points on that, but do look over the manual just to make sure you feel comfortable with it. But as long as they just kind of fishtail out in each of those zones for their organism, they can draw on the back of the plate or something so they kind of know what's up, where they're putting whatever. I think that will work. Do you feel comfortable, Tyler?
Yep, seems pretty straightforward. The 2 NA plates, one's the positive control and the other one's just the streak.
Yep.
Right? There's no negative control of.
No negative control. There's none of that.
Okay.
So with their unknown, that one, if they did find they had better growth at 25, make sure they put that one at 25. But all of this the selective and differential plates, all of those guys go at 37. So most of their unknowns are probably also going to be at 37. If there's one that they just, or it looks similar, whatever, they can just pick it, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Any issues or concerns? You feel good with that? I think it should be good. So hopefully, I hope all of that stuff goes smoothly. We'll get more stuff figured out as far as culturing and stuff for the next go around. But right now, I think it's all good. And like I said, the following week is basically just going to be looking at results for this week coming up, the selective stuff, and then a chance to stain. The general lab is going to be doing selective stuff next week. So that's why they're not tuning into this today, because it really kind of didn't fit with what they're doing right now. So they're not. All right. I think we're pretty good. I think I can probably end it unless you've got any questions or concerns. We can address that, but otherwise, and I will tell you, I'm hoping to leave my house. Damn it. Soon. So I was pretty confident that I was being good and that I had dodged it, but now I'm pretty sure that I've got coronavirus too.
Oh no.
I don't feel bad. Nobody in my house really feels that bad. But odd. I have my right arm has been numb. My hand has been tingling for days. I have had, today I don't, but for a handful of days I've had a pretty bad headache. that's really kind of been it. I looked up a little bit, and the hand numbness and stuff like that is definitely a symptom. So I'm like, that's not good. My youngest son felt a little ill, and he got tested and was positive. So I definitely know we've got it in the house. My wife started feeling ill. She went and got tested and was negative, but they told her she probably came in a little bit too soon. Just kind of seemed cold-like, and she's feeling better now. My oldest, very mild cold. He's like, I've had colds much worse than this. It's nothing. So I don't know. It's odd, but I hope I'll be back in action before too long. I did the self-reporting, and they told me that I am not to go back there until, or get off of a quarantine until the 27th. So really that puts me till the 1st, which is dumb. But, it's better that I talk to you from my basement. I feel like it's probably for the best. All right. Good.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll talk with you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.